12,000 people.
It's a number that it really makes you stop and just think for a second, doesn't it?
It completely stopped me in my tracks. I was digging through this massive stack of reports we have for today's deep dive. We've got stuff from Realtor.com, the Census, the National Association of Realtors.
And those equity numbers from Cotality, which are fascinating.
Right, and I just kept staring at that one stat. Nearly 12,000 people are turning 65 every single day. And this isn't some far-off projection. It's right now, through 2026 and 2027.
Yeah, in the demographics world, we call this peak 65. And it is. I mean, it's historically significant. We are witnessing the largest surge of retirement age individuals in U.S. history.
Wow.
To put that in perspective, just try to imagine a small city's worth of people reaching that retirement threshold every 24 hours.
And that is exactly why we're here today. We're not just, looking at population charts for fun. Our mission is to really unpack what happens when that massive wave hits the housing market. Because the sources we're looking at, especially this headline piece from Keeping Current Matters, they suggest we shouldn't be thinking crash in the negative sense.
No, not at all. The data is pointing to something else. It's pointing to a shift, a huge lifestyle recalibration.
We're talking about downsizing. But honestly, reading this, I feel like that word needs a total rebrand. Downsizing sounds like a compromise.
It does.
It sounds like, you lost your job or you're running out of money and you're forced to give something up.
That is the stigma, isn't it? People hear downsizing and they immediately picture moving into some cramped, dark apartment, giving up their garden.
Getting rid of half your furniture.
It just feels like a loss. But the data we have here paints a very, very different picture. It suggests this isn't about subtraction. It's more about strategic optimization.
Optimization. That is such a better word for it. Okay, so let's unpack this. We need to figure out why retirement isn't this abstract someday thing anymore, why 2026 is such a tipping point, and how the definition of downsizing is shifting from having less to gaining control.
And that idea of control, that's the thread that ties all of this together. When you look at the sheer number of people hitting this milestone, you realize we are looking at a fundamental change in how people live in the last third of their lives. It's not just about real estate, it's about values.
So let's start with the why now, because I feel like I've been hearing about the silver tsunami for a decade. Why is this specific moment so different?
It's about immediacy.
Yeah.
It really comes down to how immediate the retirement plans are. The sources show that for a huge chunk of homeowners, retirement is no longer a 5-year plan or a maybe down the road idea.
It's happening.
It is imminent. The data shows that 15% of older Americans are planning to retire specifically in 2026.
And I saw that, another 23% are aiming for 2027.
Exactly. So you add that up, right?
Right. That's nearly 40%.
40% within just 2 years. That creates this incredible burst of decision making. When you're working, you can kind of put off those big life decisions. But when you retire,
They come right to the front.
they're front and center.
It's like a collective mindset shift. When you're 50, retirement is a brochure. It's a sailboat on a lake. It's an abstract. But when you hit 65, which, again, 12,000 people are doing today, it gets real. The rubber meets the road.
Precisely. Age 65 acts as a trigger. It's not just a birthday party. Psychologically, it's a life audit. People look around their big 4-bedroom colonial and they ask a really tough question.
Which is?
Does this house actually serve who I am today? Or is it serving who I was 15 years ago?
Oof. Yeah. That brings us right to the rebrand of downsizing. The article makes this point that I think is so important. It says, even though your finances change in retirement, people don't want to feel like they're living with less.
No.
They want life to feel easier.
That is the word. That's the key. Easier.
Easier to enjoy, easier to manage, easier to maintain.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's really a rejection of friction. Think about it. When you're working full-time, you're raising kids. You tolerate a ton of friction in your home.
Oh, absolutely. The creaky stairs, the huge lawn that needs mowing every single Saturday.
The 3 extra bedrooms that are just collecting dust, you put up with it.
You're in survival mode. You leave at 7 a.m., you get home at 6 p.m., you're just too tired to even notice.
Exactly. But then you retire, and that distraction, the 9 to 5, it's gone. And suddenly, all that friction becomes the main event.
The maintenance is your day.
The maintenance is your day, and that is what people are trying to escape.
I was thinking of an analogy for this. It's like, hiking with a really heavy backpack.
Okay, yeah.
You've been carrying it for miles up the mountain because you needed all that gear for the kids and everything.
Yeah.
But once you get to the lodge at the top,
You don't keep wearing it inside.
you don't keep wearing it, exactly. And taking off doesn't mean you're losing anything.
No,
What's that?
you're dropping the weight so you can actually enjoy the destination you work so hard to get to.
Yes. And that's really the core argument here. The source says it plainly. Downsizing isn't about giving something up. It's about gaining control and choosing simplicity.
It's about removing the drag from your lifestyle so you can actually, enjoy your time.
Okay, but let's get specific. Because easier is a nice idea, but what actually pushes someone to move? Moving is a hassle.
It's a huge
So
hassle.
the National Association of Realtors, NAR, they tracked why people over 60 actually move. And I found this list fascinating because cashing out to get rich, it wasn't number one.
No, it wasn't. And that just flies in the face of the media narrative that, older generations are just trying to sell high and sit on a pile of cash. The financial part is actually lower on the list than you'd think.
Okay, so the top four. Number one is, well, it's just incredibly wholesome, proximity to people.
Moving closer to your kids, your grandkids, your friends, this really signals a shift in currency.
A shift in currency, what do you mean?
Well, when you're younger, the currency is often career opportunity, right? You move where the job is. Or maybe it's square footage.
Sure, get the biggest house you can afford.
Exactly. But in this phase of life, the currency is time.
Time with people.
Time with people. If you live in a beautiful, huge house, but you're a 3-hour flight from your grandkids, that house isn't an asset anymore. It's an obstacle.
It's a barrier to connection.
Hmm.
Wow. Okay, number two on the list really hit home for me just watching my own parents. Functionality and health.
This is the practical side of aging in place. And aging in place doesn't always mean staying in the same house. It means staying in a house that lets you live independently.
A big family home often fights against you as you get older.
It does. The stairs become a fall hazard. The big yard becomes a huge physical burden.
The house becomes the antagonist in the story of your life.
That's a great way to put it, yes. If you can't get up to your own bedroom comfortably, the house is winning. Moving to a more functional home, maybe a single-story place, is a way to preserve your independence. You're aligning your home with your reality.
Okay, then there's reason number three. Location freedom. In other words, I don't have to commute anymore.
This is the tether being cut. For 40 years, your zip code was basically dictated by
By your job, where you had to commute.
Exactly, and now that constraint is just gone.
It brings up a question that most people never really stop to ask themselves.
Which is?
If you could live anywhere, why are you still living there?
Right. Why stay in the freezing cold or a super congested city if you don't have to punch a clock anymore?
And it's not just weather, though that's a huge part of it. It's about taxes. It's about culture, access to hobbies. You can finally optimize for your lifestyle instead of your job.
And finally, number 4 gets to the wallet. Financial efficiency. But there's a nuance here. It's not just make money. Correct. The goal isn't, I want to sell my house for $1 million and buy a Ferrari. It's more like, I want to stop bleeding cash on heating a 3,000 square foot house when I only use like 20% of it.
It's about cash flow.
It's about cash flow, not just the asset value. Reducing that monthly burn rate on utilities, insurance, taxes, that's huge when you're on a fixed income.
So when you look at all four, proximity, functionality, freedom, efficiency, you realize they're all about lifestyle design.
Exactly. They're not about timing the market.
Okay, but, and there's always a but.
The market reality.
Exactly. We can talk about the why all day, but we have to talk about the how. How can anyone afford this? You have to be able to buy the next place.
That is the friction point. People hear the headlines and they assume they're locked out.
So how are they doing it? How are 12,000 people a day hitting this point and making these moves?
And this is where that totality data is so important. It completely changes the conversation.
This is the $299,000 number.
Yes. The data shows the average homeowner has about $299,000 in home equity, which is near an all-time high. But, and this is a huge but, that's just the average across everyone.
In our Peak 65 group, they're not average.
Far from it. The sources make it really clear that for this demographic, that equity number is often way, way higher. I mean, think about it. These are people who probably bought their homes in the 80s or 90s.
So they've had 30, maybe 40 years of appreciation.
And two very powerful things were happening at the same time. One, the value of the house was going up and up. And two, the mortgage debt was going down, or it disappeared completely.
Right. A lot of them own their homes free and clear.
A huge portion. So they're sitting on this massive pile of wealth, but it's locked up in the drywall.
They're house rich.
They're very house rich. And that equity is the game changer. It's the enabler. A first-time buyer is trying to scrape together a down payment from savings. The downsizer is bringing a massive equity check from their Chapter 1 house.
To fund their Chapter 2 house.
Exactly. We hear nobody can afford to move because of interest rates. But if you have, say, $500,000 in equity from your sale,
the interest rate on the next place matters a lot less.
it might not matter at all. You might buy the next place all cash. Or you put down such a huge down payment that your new mortgage is tiny.
Yeah.
This equity gives them options that most of the market just doesn't have.
So the advice here is, don't just look at the headlines and assume you're stuck. You have to look at your own personal balance sheet.
You have to. It completely reframes that I'm stuck feeling. You might feel stuck because the house is too big, but financially, you're holding the keys to the handcuffs.
Keys to the handcuffs. I like that. But we have to talk about the other side of being stuck. The side that isn't about money.
The emotional weight.
The memories. I mean, the source from Keeping Current Matters really leans into this, and I think it's important. Leaving a home is just, it's incredibly hard.
It's a genuine form of grief, and the article admits that. It says, sure, it can be hard to leave the house you made so many years of memories in. It doesn't dismiss that feeling.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about the pencil marks on the door frame where you measured your kid's height, the tree you planted in the backyard.
Yeah.
It feels like you're leaving a part of yourself behind.
And we shouldn't minimize that. It's real. But the counter perspective the research offers is about closing a chapter. And there's this powerful idea buried in that advice that I think everyone needs to hear.
And what's that?
It's the idea that a home should fit the years ahead of you, not just memorialize the years behind you.
That home should fit the years ahead. Wow. That really hits.
Think about it. If you stay in a house only because of past memories, you're essentially living in a museum of your own life. But you're still living. You've got another 20, maybe 30 years ahead of you.
Right.
And your home needs to serve that future, the travel, the hobbies, having grandkids over, not just store the artifacts of your past.
So you have to ask yourself, am I the curator of my past or am I the architect of my future?
That's it. And the sources suggest that peace of mind comes when you realize the house is there to serve you, not the other way around.
So, practically speaking, if someone's listening to this, maybe they're turning 65 today or they're watching their parents struggle with a big empty house, what's the first step?
The call to action is actually surprisingly low pressure. It's not sell now, quick.
Thank goodness, because that sounds terrifying.
It is. The advice is simply this. Talk to a professional to understand your options. Just get the information.
Just a conversation, no commitment.
Just a conversation. Find out what that equity number really is, not a estimate, a real number. See what's actually available on the market that might give you that easier life. You can't make a good decision without the data.
It's back to that gaining control idea we started with.
Precisely. You can't be in control if you don't know what cards you're holding. And so often people find out that the barrier isn't really financial, it's just the fear of the unknown. Once they see, oh, wow, I could sell this place, buy that condo near the beach, and still have money left over, the fear starts to fade. The unknown becomes a plan.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. We're looking at what you could call a perfect storm, but a positive one.
A rare alignment, yeah.
You have this demographic tidal wave, 12,000 people a day hitting retirement age. You have this deep desire for an easier life, free from the friction of a big house.
And you have the financial engine.
The financial engine, that $299,000 plus in equity, to actually make it all happen.
It connects the need, the want, and the means. It's this window of opportunity for millions of people to completely reshape their lives.
And whether you're the one going through this or you're helping your parents navigate it, the takeaway seems to be the same.
Yeah.
Downsizing isn't a downgrade. It's an upgrade to your lifestyle.
It's trading square footage for freedom.
It's reclaiming your time and your energy from your property.
Absolutely.
Only if everyone with one final thought that hit me while I was reading this. The source emphasizes setting yourself up on your terms. And it made me wonder, if you stay in the house that's too big or too hard to manage just because you're afraid of moving, are you really the homeowner? Or is the house owning you?
That is the question to sleep on.
A huge thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the changing landscape of homeownership. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye, everyone.